body. Yeah, and the things I wanna see. You put your hands on my body every time you think of me.
Vernier Scalper.
Willkommen auf meinem YouTube-Kanal. Ich bin Fantastical. Und today we will be talking about My Neighbor Totoro. The previous video was a fucking buzzkill, okay? Grave of the Fireflies. What a fucking buzzkill. What a boner dethroner. What a downer of a fucking film. And today, we're going back to the happy, whimsical vibes. Okay, we're going back to like uplifting and rainbow sprinkles. Yes, today's video is going to be a lot more lighthearted than the previous one. Let's just put it that way, okay? Now, these two films, okay, My Neighbor Totoro and Grave of the Fireflies, they were released on the same day. They are, I would consider, they are two sides of the same coin. Because in Grave of the Fireflies, we're talking about the war. But in The Neighbor Totoro, it's the backdrop of the war, or rather, post-war, if you want to be exact. Okay, it's the post-war, the recovery. Okay, Japan is recovering. And we get, once again, we are here in perspective of the child. The child! And I've mentioned in my previous two videos, so I'm on my re-journey. I've restarted my Studio Ghibli journey, and we have come to the third film. The previous films have also been in the perspective of the children, and I've already mentioned how I feel, what I think about the significance of that, okay? Because when it comes to the children, it's very different. If you are telling the story from the perspective of a teen, or a young adult, or an older person, it's a very different vibe, because children are vulnerable, children are impressionable, children are... There's this sense of wonder that really adds a different layer to a fantasy film, okay? To a fantasy film, to even a drama film. When we're seeing things from a children's perspective, it is very, 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 it's like a different layer. And Studio Ghibli just has a very unique way of creating stories, fantasy stories especially. I've mentioned that the dramas are not bad, okay? The dramas are not bad, but the fantasy stories really do bring out this childlike wonder. And My Neighbor Totoro is one of the best examples of that. And one of the most famous examples of the Studio Ghibli wonder and fantasy from the child's POV. Shall we begin? Shall we begin? Now, the first thing that I would like to talk about is that I do not like kids. Okay, I mentioned it time and time and time again. MIA is... She's a flop. She's a fucking flop. She used to be a game changer. Okay, anyways, we're not talking about MIA. The first thing I would like to talk about is how I do not like children, and they get on my nerves, they get a bit annoying. You know, the high decibels. Usually there's lots of decibels, okay? Lots of decibels, lots of energy that needs to be burned. They're like dogs, you know? They're like dogs, they're like puppies. And it's a lot of high frequencies. Okay, a lot of high frequencies. And it's not really like dolphin or beautiful bird chirping. It's like screeching, you know, like it's very like, it's not very pleasant sounds. Okay, shout out to all the preschool teachers, shout out to all the nursery, you know, caregivers, babysitters, and anybody that has to deal with children. I have a lot of friends that are teachers, you know, art teachers, school teachers, and shout out to all of you, okay? Shout out that you're doing God's work, because the fucking children are demons. The fucking children are demons. And I know I said that I should do something altruistic in my life, but I don't know if children are the answer to that, because I like the idea of teaching children. I think that teaching children is a very important job. especially when it comes to creativity and art and values and morals and things like that. But I don't know if I can deal with children like 24/7 every day, 7 days a week. Going into this film, we have what's her name? Oh God, what is her name? Satsuki. Okay, Satsuki and Mei. Okay, so Satsuki is the older one, the older sister, and Mei is the younger, the more annoying one. Oh my God, there's a lot of shouting. There is a lot of shouting. So at the start of the film, they, with their dad, they're moving into this rural house, this rickety fixer-upper, again, the trope of the fixer-upper. Fixer-upper, they're like fixing together the house, moving things around. And of course, we get a lot of childlike wonder, okay? They're exploring. Children, when we're children, we like to explore, be it in the nature, be it in the house, be it in places of new places that we've never seen before. So I understand. But there's a lot of shouting. There's a lot of shouting. It was 5 minutes in. 5 minutes in, I was starting to feel the pain. I was starting to feel that, I was not built for this. Kitchen! Yay! Ooh, the grass! Oh, the sky! It's a lot of shouting. Like I remember one of my friends brought me over to her mom's friend's house once, and they were like kids, and they were very excited because they found out that I am an artist and I could draw. And oh my God, the girl was like, "You draw? You draw?" And it was, I traded my entire life for this. I busted out a drawing. They give me like a reference picture from some anime and make me draw. And the parents have to stop because they say, no, they're taking advantage of you. They're taking advantage of you. They're taking advantage of your kindness. You need to stop. And they tell children, you're a bit spoiled. So, children are a lot. Children are the high frequencies. I know I have a lot of high frequencies, but this is a different level of high frequency. You know what I mean? So I was starting to get a bit annoyed. I have to be very transparent. This isn't like an anti-children channel. Okay, canal. Okay. I believe that humans. I believe that children are our future, but I also believe that they are fucking annoying. They will fucking pain. So this is the start. A lot of childlike wonder. It is very. I think that the way they portray. Okay, this is another Miyazaki film. The way that they portray the childlike wonder, the euphoria of that wonder that comes with that wonder, okay, the euphoria of the exploration, the euphoria of the siblinghood, okay, the sisters, the younger and the older sister, the relationship. It's very positive, very bright, and it is explored really well. When they enter that dark, dingy room, one of those dark, dingy rooms, they were fearful, but they put on like that bravado of and they enter the room together, trying to act like they're tough and stuff. That is very well portrayed. I know that feeling. We all know that feeling when we're scared and we try to act tough. And when we have a friend, it is a little bit easier because we can lie together. We can act tough together. We can be like, I'm not scared. At the moment something pops up, we're like, that was very charming, very endearing. And speaking of charming, when the film started, the sequence of the car driving through the nature and the very painterly palette, painterly style thing that we have going on. What is this painting style called? I'm an artist, but I don't know. What is it? I don't think it's it's not watercolor, but like the hand-painted thing of the Ghibli films. It is so charming. It is so charming. Every time I start a new Ghibli film, well, other than the Downer film, Every time I start a new Ghibli film, it is always such a joy. It is like so euphoric to see this, like you just experiencing art. Even if you don't look at the story, just the images are so, like I want to be there. I want to jump in there. I want to feel, the texture of the grass, and everything just looks so, so warm and so chill. I just want to be there. I want to be there with the Setsuko. What's her name? Why keep you trying to say? I keep trying to say Setsuko. No, this is not. No, this is not Setsuko. Okay. Bruh. This is not Setsuko. This is Satsuki. Oh my god. Satsuki and Mei. Okay, but we have to talk about the tropiaries. The tropiary of this film. Here we go. Okay, we have the fucking old woman. There's always a fucking old woman. Okay, there's always an old woman in the Ghibli films. Okay, so the old woman of this film is the granny. Okay, the granny, the caretaker, who's here to help. It's like the babysitter, basically. Here to clean and cook and take care of the children while the dad is at work and mom is being. Oh my god. Okay, and the mom is nerfed again. And supposedly, what people are saying online is that it is tuberculosis, TB, because it was of that time period. It's most likely the reason she's getting the cold and being in the hospital. The mom is always fucking nerfed. They always have to put the mom in like some vulnerable position when she's like, like the women and the children are always positioned and postured as very vulnerable, but they have to push it even further, so that we feel more sympathy and empathy. And the dad is, of course, the breadwinner. But it makes sense, like family dynamic. And the thing about the old woman is that I find it very, very interesting. Is the old woman is not old man. Old woman. I used to have some fear when I was a kid with the old people, like the elderly. I had a fear. And it is not a fear to do with the actual age, like they're really up there in the number, but rather the wrinkliness. If the old person isn't that wrinkly, they're still kind of moist and smooth, I don't have that fear. But when I see an old person that is very, 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 very wrinkly, like if they just gone dipping in the pool in your thumb, your toes, and you're all wrinkly and lots of lines. You know what I mean? Like the old people that are so wrinkly, I used to be very afraid. But I guess that's a learning lesson, because you have to learn to have empathy, because you might one day end up like this, and that is natural. That some old people just look a bit more wrinkly than others, and it's fine, it's normal. And I like that it is not some condescending or very annoying thing where the old people are supposed to be saints and stuff. No, they do have crooked, like Yubaba. Okay, we'll talk about Yubaba in a future video when we're talking about the Spirited Way. Yubaba is one of the best examples actually of a old person that is wrinkly and gross, and we do not support. But very interesting trope, and she does give a little bit of creepy vibes. And again, it is not creepy like she's a PDF type of creepy, but just creepy as in like from a child's perspective. Again, it's very from a child's perspective. You're not seeing, because you see how Mei she was holding the suit, like the dust in her hands, and she's like running out, and she sees the old woman, and she's like a bit like taken aback, like, who is this woman? What is she doing in the house? And I do recall a lot of times as a kid, it's more of like a stranger thing, and especially when they're old, sometimes it gets a bit, there's just this fear, and it's like a very innocent fear. It's not really a discriminatory fear, it's just like a fear of the unknown. And maybe something else, but I don't think that it is something of contempt or. Now, when Satsuki has to go to school, Mei is left to her own devices. And what does she do? She goes into the nature, she goes into the woods by herself, and she finds the Totoro. She finds the Totoros, the small one, the medium one, and the big one. Okay, it's very much giving like, what is that? The baby bear, mama bear, and the papa bear. But different. It's a totally different thing, but you know what I'm saying. So again, like Childlike Wonder. And with this, you're already starting to get introduced into this idea of the fantasy land. Okay, is this thing real? This Totoro, what exactly is this Totoro creature? Because we can't exactly pinpoint what animal this is supposed to be, and we can just assume that it is perhaps a fantasy-like animal that she follows into the woods, you know, very Alice in the Wonderland. And she finds the ginormous Totoro in this hidden sanctuary inside of a camphor tree. Is that how you pronounce it? Camphor? I've never heard that name in my entire life, but you know, the ginormous tree. Here, we're also introduced to how nature can act as a sanctuary for the humans, but more specifically for the children. Now Totoro is sleeping and she's climbing up on this wild animal, this ginormous animal that's like 10 times, 20 times her size. But it is kind. It is docile. Is that the right word? It's docile. It's not, it's passive. Does not attack her. I mean, the teeth, it has claws, but the teeth is very omnivore coded. So probably wouldn't attack her. This place just welcomed her. It did not question if she was meant to bring any harm to the place. And perhaps that is because she's a child. That's why she's accepted into this sanctuary without needing the permission, okay? Without needing to prove herself. And I think that there's something about that here. And it goes on throughout the entire film. We're looking at nature as this mysterious, protective entity. Sacred, actually, almost like sacred, because the sanctuary is like a shrine. And I emphasize on the child aspect because not everybody is invited into this place. Not everybody is invited to experience this place as it is, as this sanctuary, as this magical fantasy corner, right? Because later on, when Mei, because she falls asleep on Totoro and the sister and dad comes looking for her because she's not home after like when it's starting to get dark, so they look for her and they find her inside the tree, but they don't see Totoro. They don't see the sanctuary that Mei was exposed to earlier. So not everybody gets to see this place. Not everybody gets to be in that perspective. And the fact that it is so children exclusive makes it like the perfect daycare. It makes it like the perfect daycare for the kid because she gets to go there, gets to sleep, and she's not making noise. She's not screeching. She's protected. She's safe. And then the parents and the sister come and take her home. I think that's pretty sweet. And as a child, I can see how you would want a place like this to exist. And that's when the escapism comes in as well. You know, the whole theme of escapism that I mentioned in the previous video. You escape the world, escape the adults, escape being at home. You want to escape. You want to go to a fantasy land. And if you think about it, nature is the ultimate fantasy land because we're so modernized. Especially today's world, technology is just advancing. Nature is the ultimate fantasy land. And the fact that nature is dying, we're destroying nature, it's getting scarcer and scarcer and scarcer, and like, we're just claiming the land, like in the Pompoko that we will talk about in the future video. The land is just used to build more buildings. Nature is becoming rare. And this is like think about it, like the Amazon rainforest, the fact that so much of it is oh my god, what is that word? Uncharted. So much of it is uncharted, and it's very hard to fathom because you think that, oh, humans are so advanced and tactical, and we can do anything that we want. We can do anything we want, but no, you actually can't. You actually can't. So because like there are parts of the forest that is not even like you can't even walk there because the trees are so close together and it is dark as shit. It is so fucking dark. It is so dark. It's like you just cannot fathom it. Or just look at the South Pole. It can get so cold and misty, and it feels like you're on a different planet. Like, but you're not. That is Earth, and a place like this exists in our proximity. If we had the power to teleport to the South Pole, if we had the power to teleport to the South Pole, we can go there, and we might just die before we might die before we could teleport back. That is crazy. But of course, that is the extreme example. That is not like the happy gay example. So the happy gay example is like a Totoro, like a sanctuary, or maybe an oasis in a jungle, very Jungle Book. You know what I'm saying? Nature is the ultimate fantasy land. Back when humans as a civilization, we weren't this advanced. We weren't wearing clothes maybe and stuff like that. We used to be one with the nature. We used to be one with the nature. We used to be synonymous with the nature, but now we're so separate. We're so separate. We don't even want flies. We don't even want plants. I know some people like plants, okay? There are lots of people. Shout out to the plant community. But, yeah, there are people like, Australians, they love their nature. Australians love their nature. Brazilians like to be in the sun. And who likes to climb the mountains? People like their nature, but there's also a lot of people who don't like it. A lot of us just want to stay in air-conditioned rooms. A lot of us just want to stay indoors. So there's this separation. There's this clear separation. And even if you were to be a nature lover, there is a bridge that you have to cross to go to the nature. It's not like a synonymous thing anymore. So nature is a very good representation of this fantasy. And as a child, I used to be obsessed with portals. I used to be obsessed with fairy circles. Is that what they're called? The fairy rings? Fairy circles? Or like the Stonehenge. I used to be very obsessed with those types of anomalies in nature. Or trees that, again, portals. Trees that look like they're leading. They're like gateways to a different realm. And then I found out that a lot of times there's this belief that the fairies are actually evil. They're mischievous. They're genies. They're not even fairies. They could be genies. They could be just like evil forest spirits. And then I got opened up to like the evils, and I used to be very obsessed with that type of thing. And I would pretend, like going to the park or going to any nature adjacent place, and like look at the trees and pretend like I'm getting transported to like a different place if I step into, take a specific number of steps on the stone and cross like the pond, and maybe I will like end up in a different place. Oh, and I ate Narnia up. When Narnia came out, I ate the fucking shit up, okay? I ate the fucking shit. What is the other one? Bridge to Terabithia? Bridge! Oh my god. And the death? Girl. I was like, okay, actually, this isn't all fun and games. It's not all fun and games. It's like that duality again. The duality of the nature that could kill you, but also it could be a sanctuary. It depends. Perhaps it is also a thing of what you... spiritual belief of if you give to nature, nature will give back. One thing that I realized about this film, now that I'm watching it for the second time, or the third, I think it's like third time by now, it is that there's a lot of spirituality. And it's not a spirituality in the sense of like, oh God, amen. No, it is not that. It is not even like Buddha or like an Eastern type. Maybe there's some Japanese like types of spiritualism in there, but it is very much a nature. Nature is the God in this film. Nature is revered. Even the dad, okay, because when May was telling her sister and the dad that she found Totoro and she was like sleeping on Totoro, and they did not believe her, or rather, they just like laughed and joked, and she felt mocked. Okay, she felt mocked, and she got mad. And thank God that the dad is spiritual, because if the dad was like some fucking, is it called agnostic, or some atheist person, if the dad wasn't as lighthearted and hippie about it and just shot her down, oh, that would have been bad. But the dad wasn't like that. The dad was like, you're right, maybe you've met him, the king of the forest. Okay, you might have met the king of the forest. And he even mentions how like he bought the house because of that tree, the ginormous tree. He has the reverence for the tree, for the nature. So there's a spirituality about the place. And even the short scene that comes after, in the night, what is her name? Satsuki. In the night, Satsuki was writing in her diary. She says that she writes that she wants to meet Totoro. She wants to meet the king of the forest. And it is that same spiritual vibe. It is very echo of when people write like, I wish that I want to meet Jesus. I'm sorry, okay? I'm not mocking you Christian folks, okay? People out there who believe in Jesus and stuff, okay? You do you, okay? You do you, but I'm just trying to, make a comparison here. Yeah, it is that type of spirituality. Like, I want to meet him. One day I'll meet him. She's manifesting it. She's manifesting her moment. And the thing about May feeling mocked when they laugh at her experience, her supposed experience with the Totoro, okay, the king of the forest. Putting the spirituality aside, putting the themes of spirituality aside, themes of the nature aside, if we're going to talk about it through the lens of, the child's imagination, because with children, let's talk about the imaginary friends, imaginary friends, their children's coping mechanisms, the escapism factor. I think that it is very important representation and showcase of how the parent is not it is not shooting down the imagination of the child. He's not saying, no, you're crazy, don't be silly, you didn't see anything. He's playing along. A lot of times parents just be like, yes, oh, like, what is that? Like, parents, it can be a bit patronizing, but it is better than a parent who is shooting down a child, is trying to kill their imagination. So there's the two ways to look at it. You have the spiritual way to look at it, and you also have the child's lens. We have to talk about the cat bus. Because I know a lot of people like the cat bus. I like it, okay? I like it. I think it's cute. But it is also a little bit creepy, okay? It is cute, it's cozy, but it's also a little bit creepy. That like kooky, 80s synthesizer, beep beep boop sound, sci-fi effect when the door opens, the skin of the cat, just like wow. It is This is a bit eerie, if I'm being very completely honest. It's a bit eerie. And the grin of the cat is very like Alice in the Wonderland, like Cheshire cat, a bit unnerving. I don't know if we can fully trust this creature. He might turn on us. He might have some like hidden powers because he's effectively a teleportation system. Am I right? He can take the children anywhere. He can fly. You take them anywhere. He will take them to very dangerous places. For all we know. So there is that again. It's the duality. The first time I watched this film, I was a bit like, oh, okay, this is like, I guess this is supposed to be the cutesy, because this is like a children's film. It's meant to be for the kids. It's meant to make them like, oh, like I want the Totoro, I want the cat bus. But looking at it again, it's like that creature is. It has a potential. The potential to get the potential. Shamika said I had potential. It has the potential to do some fucked up shit, but it is not. That is not shown. Okay, it is presented as this teleportation, this transportation, this life-saving tool. But there is a duality to that. Okay, there's a duality to that, and I would argue that Totoro has a duality to that as well, because Totoro is huge. That is a big creature. I know there's like the tinier ones, but the big one. And the claws, you know, like when they were waiting at the bus stop under the rain for the dad, and you know the big Totoro comes up to them and he kind of scratches, you know, he scratches his body, he scratches against the fur. I had this thought. I was like, those claws. Yo, like the fucking... He could fuck someone up. Totoro could totally fuck someone up. But he's just too, you know, gentle giant and like peaceful and passive. But I'm sure the motherfucker can fuck someone up, bruh. Okay, and those chompers. They might not be like carnivorous chompers, but that motherfucker can eat, okay? The motherfucker can eat. He might not swallow, but he'll chew you up and he'll spit you out. Totoro. You know Baymax? You have to be like Totoro. Totoro is a killing machine. First of all, Totoro is not real. He's just a figment of your imagination. No, but really, I had a lot of thinking about it. Like these creatures and the space and everything. Again, back to the whole duality of the nature. It's a kid's film, so obviously we're not going to have really provocative or evocative or explicit imagery of violence or power or danger. Every part of, you know, every aspect of danger in this film is very is like a suggestion of danger, or it is a more subtle idea of danger. It is not like explosions. It's not bust it open, pussy in your face. It is not. It is not that. It is very like lingering, you know, fears. Again, from the childlike perspective. It is not Graveyard of the Fireflies. It is not that. It is not La Puta. It is not even like Spirited Away, where the parents become the pigs and Yubaba and the entire fucking spa, the bathhouse, everybody is after you. No, it is not that. All the dangers and all the fears in this film are very subtle. And it goes very well with the laid-back vibes of the film, which also makes me think of how if you're going into this film expecting a lot of explosions and crazy lights and mystical creatures and boom boom bratata, wow wow wow, it is no. You're not going to get that. And admittedly, the first time I watched this film, I was a little bit bored. I did feel like I was going to fall asleep. And to be fair, it's not, again, it's not that we're not the demographic. People of our age, we're not the demographics for the kids. But now that I'm giving it another time, I've matured, okay? I matured as a person, as a film reviewer, as a film appreciator, as a film consumer, as just like an artist in general, like I'm trying to open up my eyes, open up my heart, trying to see what is beyond. And I can see it now, okay? I can see what they're trying to do with this film. And it's very nice because as a children's film, it is not too violent, okay? It's not too violent. It is, it teaches some things, some values or philosophy without being too like didactic. Okay, it's not a parable. It is everything is very subtle. I'm sorry, I don't know why Satsuki's name is just not as it's just not as instinctive to my brain as like Setsuko. And when I don't like Satsuki, I just don't really see that name very often when it comes to the I'm just not very used to that name. I'm sorry, okay? I know there are some weeps out there who are probably like, what? There is such a common name. So Satsuki and Mei, they get to meet the Totoros together and they do this little like ritual thing where they're like taking the leaf. And again, it's that spirituality. The spirituality and that reverence for nature. And they summon a ginormous tree. That they're being brought up to the top with the Totoros and they look over the entire land. And the dad is oblivious as usual. And that's when the nature, the spirituality of the nature and the childlike escapism, those two things that I mentioned before, they blend in this moment because, again, the adults, when it comes to religion, okay, when it comes to spirituality, is often, we often think of older people, we often think of like sages, even, you know, like wise people like monks, Buddha, you know, like nuns, and just people who have devoted a lot of time into studying spirituality and devoting their time and their life, you know, into this practice, this faith. We don't usually associate spirituality with children, but in this film, the children are the ones that have the contact with this otherworldly creatures, this otherworldly, this fantasy world. The sanctuary, now we're up in the tree, the adults, they never get this experience with, yes, they might see the nature, they might appreciate it, they might pray, they might yearn for a good harvest for the coming summer and all that type of jazz, but they never ever have that intimate experience of being with the king of the forest, up in the clouds and all up in the cat buzz. They don't get that experience. It is reserved for the children in this case. So I think that is very, very interesting. It's very interesting. Never once did they show the dad looking up, you know, from his window. He doesn't even think about the freaking kids. Like, he's just doing his work. They never once. I was expecting him to maybe look out of the window and maybe catch a glimpse of his two daughters up in the sky or something. But no, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It's exclusive to the kids. And when I said that the film is not a parable, but it still teaches you the values. And by the values, I mean loving the nature. You know, from the start of the film, we already had a little bit of that, okay? We already had the acorns, you know, the acorns falling from the ceiling. It's almost like an invitation. because they're not coming from the house. I mean, yes, sure, it's a suggested that it's dropped from the attic or something, but the acorns are from the outside. They're from nature. They're from the forest. They're from the trees. It's like an invitation. It's like slowly enticing the kids. And now we are talking about the summer is coming and we're going to pick the vegetables. Okay, Granny is showing the kids, oh, look at the vegetables. They're so fresh. You know, we have corn. We have, was it like the yams? Is it like yams, sweet potato? Like, you know, Japanese sweet potato and stuff. And also talking about how, it's been blessed by the sun. The vegetables have been blessed by the sun. It is not, oh, the sun gave it nutrients, the sun, oh, like the water. No, it's blessed. That is the word. The important word is the blessed by the sun. Again, the spiritual, this holy imagery of nature. And of course, May, or I can't remember if it's May or her sister, Satsuki, who is like, so does it mean that if mom were to eat the corn, she would get better? And Granny is like, of course, it should definitely recover very fast because corn's been blessed by the sun. And that is just, again, nature! It's like the reverence of nature. And they grew the fucking vegetable that they did not get it from Joja Mart. They didn't get it from some conglomerate. They didn't get it from a supermarket. God knows, like, where the plants came from. They might be bruised. They might have bugs. They might have insect. No, it's not. No insecticide. This is pure. This is homegrown, and it is blessed by the sun. So mom better get better. Eat the fucking corn. She better nom on that corn. She better eat the cob as well. She's busy eating daddy's cob. And of course we get the letter from the hospital that sends the girls into a spiral and even an internal fight because I really have to practice empathy, okay? This is the moment of the film where I have to practice empathy for the fucking child. And by the child, I mean May. May's being a little brat because Big Sis is getting a little stressed. Okay, she's getting a little stressed about mom because there's this lingering fear. Again, the fear is lingering. And this is the thing, it's been lingering the entire time. Mom has been in the hospital for God knows how long. They don't even know what is this mysterious sickness that she has because a lot of times children don't really know the exact illness that their parents are going through. They might be told like, oh, like mom or dad is a bit unwell, like he needs, you know, they need to be on some meds, they need to sleep, or they need to be in some care facility. Children don't know shit, you know, they're not told. A lot of times it's for their own good, like don't want the children to worry too much. So there is already this lingering fear. Even as a viewer, you're thinking, oh God, why is the mom in the hospital? Why do they not show the mom? I mean, they do show her, but it's like she's always absent. You know, like dad gets more screen time than the mom. So like you always have this impending thing of like, is she gonna get better, or is it gonna turn for the worst? Like, it feels a bit too serene and happy, like something bad might happen. And then you get the letter. It is very real. It is very real. And you don't have to be a child to understand that. When you get a letter, when you get a call, when you get a message from the hospital that, you know, about your relative, about your parent, about your friend, blah, blah. There's a fear. It's a fear, like the fear of death. Because we always think of the worst things, right? We don't think of like, oh, did she get into... No, our mind starts to spiral. We go straight to the loss. We are already emptying ourselves for the loss for like the biggest, like the worst thing that could happen. And it is really sucky. And this is the part where we really get the crying from the bigger sister. Because, bigger sister, big sister, bigger sister. I'm not saying she's fat, at least not, no. But, it is just like in the Grave of the Fireflies. We don't really see, Big Brother. I still don't remember his name. We didn't really see him cry until, Setsuko found out and revealed to him that she knows that their mom is dead. And he cried for the very first time in the later part of the film. And I feel like this is the same. It is impactful that Satsuki only cries in this late in the film. You know, little sis May has been throwing tantrums and crying for the entire fucking film. But big sis, again, the dynamic. Of course, she has to take care of the sister. She is the main caretaker. I mean, they have the granny, but really the big sis is the one that is taking care of the sister. She's the one that's interacting with the sister the most. They're like so tight, you know? So you could imagine, again, she's probably hiding her fear the entire time. She does not ever want to bring it up. Like, what she might be thinking, like, oh god, like what if mom dies, or perhaps she might have a nightmare about mom dying, or mom and dad separating, things of that nature. But it is in this moment where we really get the break, so it's very impactful. And fucking May has to be a brat. May has to be a fucking brat. Oh my god. Has to cry, has to yell, has to like run around, being fucking useless. She's fucking useless. She's emotionally obtuse. And she's running around with a stupid fucking corn that she is like bigger than her body. So she's like holding it and cradling it like a baby. I'm sorry. I'm not a May hater. I'm sorry. That is why I say I'm really trying. This is the moment where I was being put to the test, okay? I was put into the ring. I was put into the exam, the exam hall of empathy, okay? The exam hall of empathy. I wanted to be exempted from the exam hall of empathy, but they said no. They said this is compulsory. If you want to extend, you have to take this freaking exam and you have to pass. So I was like, oh god, okay. Of course, May runs off again, because that is classic, right? Run away from home, run away from the troubles, run. But if we're gonna talk about run, we have to talk about the escapism. Where does she run? She runs back into the nature. But it is very interesting because though she runs to the nature, she does not go to Totoro. She gets lost. Instead, her sister, Satsuki, is the one that goes to Totoro for help. She's like, May is fucking lost. I'm in shambles. Mom might die. Please fucking help me. And the cat bus comes and takes her to her sister. That is very sweet. Okay, that is very sweet. That is a very sweet moment. And they reunite. And it is so sweet when they reunite with Granny. And again, Mom and Dad are oblivious to this whole shenanigans, this whole fucking shenanigans. Like, Mom and Dad have no fucking clue. They have no idea. This is like this whole universe that is built around Totoro and the cat bus and the fantasy land and the sanctuary and blah blah blah. It is all with the child. It's all with the children. The parents no fucking clue. So when they reunited with Granny, that was very sweet. Granny was like crying, and I was like, oh, everybody's crying. We're like happy. She's like telling Granny that no, the shoe is not her sister, and you can feel like that the moment of relief that the sister did not drown or something. Oh, this is a very well written film. Okay, the ending. The ending. I find the ending very interesting because, you know, previously I mentioned that the worlds do not cross when it comes to the adults and the fantasy world. Sorry, I'm just stretching. It does not cross. It only crosses with the children. The children are the only ones that get to cross to the other side. But at the end, Mom, when she was having this intimate moment with Dad, and she says, I swear, I thought I saw Satsuki and Mei up in the sky or in the trees or something. Mom, it's like the split second, like the glimpse of where she was like transported into that world, but maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was just like a flash, or maybe she was just missing her daughters. You know, it might not be real. But then again, like even with the children, the whole idea of meeting the Totoro and the cat bus in the sanctuary, it might not be real. This might all just be figment of the imagination, and I like that. I like that throughout the film and a lot of the Ghibli films, it has that surreal vibe. You know, the surrealistic vibe of, you never know when we're really in, you know, like reality, or if it's just figment of the imagination. And using that, like blurred lines, using those blurred lines to explore this idea of childlike imagination and reverence of nature and spirituality, I have a new appreciation from this film. And I'm not even a spiritual person, really. I'm not a spiritual person. I think that I really do have perhaps it's because I do find myself having a growing reverence for nature as I'm getting older. I'm not that old, but you know, as I am maturing, I'm not one to believe in God. Okay, if God is the thing that you're into, that is good for you. But that is not something that I like to dabble in. I have my own issues with religion, but that is my tea. Okay, that is my tea. You have your tea. But I think that nature is something that is very intrinsic and we do all kind of have this connection with it. We just have to unlock it and find it, and all of us humans should have a form of reverence for the nature. Kind of lost the plot. But it is very interesting that in that final scene we get a very small crossover, and what a way to end, by the corn being on the window, and that is like, ooh, where did this come from? And I was thinking, no fucking way, because I get the whole, like, the blurring the lines of the fantasy and the real world, and what could be, what couldn't be, because how the fuck could the two children, wasn't the granny the one that said, if you're going to walk all the way, even a full-grown adult would take like 3 hours or something just to get to the hospital. It is crazy that the children want to go there. It is crazy that Mei is attempting to go to the hospital by foot to deliver the fucking corn that is blessed by the sun to the fucking mother. That is fucking crazy. This is fucking crazy, you know. But the corn was actually there. It is not the imaginary corn, and it even has the name carved into it. So is it real? It has to be real, but this is a really good film. Yo, fuck! This is a very good film. And I have to bring this up again. I really like films. And I think that it is very charming, especially if it's a child's film, where it is not so, like, righteous. You know, it is not a self-righteous film. It is, again, not a fable, not a parable. It is not, like, so obnoxious in teaching you a lesson. You know, this is the learning lesson. This is the evil, you know, black and white, no nuance in between, treating the children like they're fucking idiots. No, it is not. And thinking about it, like looking back at the films from the Ghiblis that I've known, it's seldom black and white. You know, they always give you a good amount of, like a spectrum. Perhaps as a child you might relate to a certain character more, or you might have certain feelings towards certain characters more, but as a child you might see it differently, you know. And I guess you can say this for films, just films in general. Doesn't have to be Ghibli films, but I think that's this is wonderful. I really wasn't expecting myself to appreciate this as much. I'm being, really, because I was already accepting that Totoro is probably not going to be up there in my favorite films from Ghibli. But I really like how understated it is. But its messaging and its themes, it's very poignant. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe and do all of that. What is the next film? Is the next film a drama? I don't remember. I used to remember the chronology. So we somewhere after this we have okay, so there is that drama, that one where it's about the girl who goes to the countryside and she lives in the countryside for a moment. She's a city girl that goes to the countryside and she kind of rethinks her life and she kind of has this romance with this guy that she's. There is that. There is Spirited Away. There is Princess Mononoke. I believe there is, what is the one? The one with the pig. The one with the pig. Porco Rosso. I'm thinking of Porco. I'm just looking forward to Porco if I'm completely done. Those are the upcoming ones, okay? I can't remember exactly what is the one that comes directly after Totoro, but we will be watching and we will be talking. So, like and subscribe and do all of that. I will be back in the next Studio Ghibli video. Yeah, bye. And we'll talk then, okay?